Hey there folks, brace yourselves for a dose of realness because today we're diving headfirst into today f***ed up stories, straight from the glorious chaos of Reddit's r/TIFU, where the cringe is real and the laughs are plenty. But first, hit that subscribe button. Toss a thumbs up if you're down for some awkward fun. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to stay updated with us. TIFU, I'm leaving my money out in the open. Hello Reddit. I am a 19-year-old college student. I come from a very poor background, but I am working to overcome financial ruin. I am a first-generation college student, and sadly 2 weeks ago I had to cut my parents out of my life because I discovered they had opened several lines of credit in my name. Because of my family's status, I have what's called work study. It's where I work on campus tax-free for 7 hours a week and get paid bi-weekly. The pay is around $150. I live in the dorms with my roommate, let's call him Marcus, and I haven't gotten along since the moment I have got here. He has called me a on several occasions, which I keep reporting, but the campus isn't doing anything. Well, I get paid every 2 weeks, and I always cash it out in cash because it's harder to spend so it lasts longer. However, I always set aside $50 for groceries for the 2 weeks so I'm able to have snacks and food. You see, I haven't ever had a problem with my roommate stealing my stuff, but one thing I've realized about him is that he spends all of his money extremely quickly. He'll order 4 or 5 DoorDash orders and complain for a month that he's broke. Well, this morning I had left my money on my desk in its container. I had locked the door and left. When I return from classes, the door is still locked, and I enter. It takes me an hour or so to realize the money is missing because I was going to go shopping at a later time. When the money went missing, I immediately texted my roommate asking him where my money went. He has since blocked me and has refused to speak to me even when he entered the room. When I inquired, he called me a told me that I must have left the door open. I didn't, and the door was locked when I returned. I have searched everywhere for the money. It's not somewhere I put it. And I have amazing money, and I specifically remember putting it where I put it. Now I'm screwed because I will have groceries for the next 2 weeks because I was stupid for leaving money out. My roommate is the only bad thing I have encountered since I have been here. TLDR. 90% sure my roommate stole the money I had left out for groceries, knowing we don't get along. TIFU, by getting too in character during roleplay with my girlfriend. My girlfriend, F19, and I, F19, are quite avid Star Trek fans. She recently asked me if I would be down to roleplay in the bedroom as characters from the original series, that being me as Mr. Spock and her as Captain Kirk. To be honest, I am pretty neutral on role-playing as it doesn't really do anything for me, but it's not like I find it disgusting. I just think it can be awkward, so it's not typically my thing. However, she seemed really into the idea, and I like to make her happy, so I thought why not, and agreed to it. The basic plan was for us to dress up and then be in character for a bit. Then she was going to complain about her back, so I would give her a back massage. In my defense, I know this whole thing sounds incredibly cringe, but please bear with me. Anyway, during the back massage, I was supposed to get a bit touchy, and then you can guess where I am going with that. We'd also decided to have a safe word precisely so that we would know when to break character because she wanted me to take it seriously. Here's where I f***ed up. It was going all right, and I was giving her a back massage for like 10 minutes at this point, and she was being kinda suggestive, I guess. My problem was that I just didn't know how Spock would actually act in this situation, like I knew that I was supposed to initiate things. But I also wanted to be true to the character. Eventually, she started whispering for me to go lower and stuff like that, but I still responded in character saying stuff like, "That's inappropriate / I'm becoming of a Starfleet officer lol." She starts getting a bit mad and accusing me of not really being into it. This is where I think I took it too far because I started talking about how it was just a back massage and I didn't know I was supposed to be into it. Then she starts yelling at me that obviously we weren't still in character. And I was being purposely dense, which I suppose I sort of was since I'm not stupid. And I just kind of felt like taking the piss a bit. This turned into a massive argument where she tells me that she feels like I'm not attracted to her. And then I don't try hard enough, and eventually she ended up crying and we barely spoke for the 3 days after that. After that, she came over and we talked a bit about it, but I still wasn't being super serious because the whole situation is a bit ridiculous really. She gets mad again, and so I start getting a bit mad, and eventually we are really arguing and shouting and bringing up things in the past to hurt each other with, and it turns toxic pretty quickly. Then she just gets fed up and breaks up with me right there and then. I know it didn't come through in this post, but I really did love her, And it really sucks that this is how it has ended after all this time. I've been super depressed the past couple of weeks where I'm not eating or doing schoolwork, and I'm obviously not enjoying Star Trek like I used to. The more I think about it, I think I just embarrassed her in such a vulnerable moment, and I'm struggling to forgive myself for that, but then I remember that it was f***ing Star Trek roleplay, and I keep going in circles. Anyway, I should have just taken it more seriously. TLDR. Acted too much like Spock during Star Trek roleplay, so my girlfriend broke up with me. TIFU, I'm using the toilet. Well, TIFU. I've been sitting on this a while, so I thought it was finally my time to shine. Back in the day, when I was about 13-14, I used to get Thursday evenings home alone. My mom would be at work late, and my dad would be taking my sister to guitar practice. You can imagine a lot of the activities that would take place. Very loud music, tons of junk food, and hours of hardcore, no breaks involved, video gaming. You dirty so-and-so. Anyway, what's the worst feeling when you're finally about to take down the entire Khmer invasion and save your little boy? Needs a piss. So my underdeveloped, popped-up, smooth-brained self saw the natural solution. Literally. I'd peed outside on hikes and the like, so why not in the plant pod next to the TV? This continues for a month or so on Thursdays. I was so happy with my new solution, keeping it in room and not needing to run to the loo. Well, lo and behold, this one poor plant could not absorb several jugs worth of piss. The room started to stink, and so my mom took action. She quickly figured out what it was and showed me the lingering puddle at the bottom of the pot. I was bollocked, lost PlayStation privileges, and never did it again. TLDR. Pissed in a plant pot to save time while gaming. Stank out the lounge and I got my PS3 taken away. TIFU, I smoking before flight. TLDR, I had the brightest idea of trying flight while being high, ended up being too stoned, and had the worst panic attack in life. So I was just on my way to enjoying my holiday. I rolled myself around a G or maybe 15, so I have a biggie I can save for later. So yeah, I probably wasn't aware of the density of my spliffs but had. The moment I realized I have to face a security check, I was already looking for the toilet because I pissed myself out of terror. Surprisingly, I got on well as long as I could just walk. Then in the queue, I was praying to God. He still hasn't shown up. Anyway, I managed to ninja my way through security. Nobody checked me, nor did I have anything to hide anyway, other than being stoned AF eventually. I bought 10 packs of cigarettes, God knows why. 8. Got some nicotine you can stick up behind your lips. A coffee. Now, 2 things to enhance high. They are caffeine and nicotine. I found out the hard way. I don't know why the grumpy airline lady let me alone past the bag check, but thank you forever. I treasure you in my heart despite you being a total The moment my flight took off, I enjoyed it until the airplane dropped a little. I almost passed out of fear. I could barely look out the window. When I had God, I almost passed out again. Then the clouds came and I was having the worst panic attack in my life. I've died 3 times and almost passed out a few times. I was close to losing my mind. I'd eventually eat it to damn. I could barely get out of the train station because I was trying to use a train ticket from Dublin. I don't even know how I even had that in my wallet. Some guy even let me through. I've managed to dodge every security, but man, I was so scared I could tear off the seat in front of me. So yeah, I guess trying flying high wasn't a good idea. TIFU, by realizing I have been accidentally staring at every woman I've ever met's boobs. Obligatory, this didn't happen today, but actually every day of my life. A woman who likes other women was talking to one of my best friends, another woman who likes women, and she asked me, why do you always stare at my tits? Obviously, I'm like, what? No, I don't, and I deny this slanderous accusation. What do you mean? You literally only stare at my chest when you talk to me, like an older gay butt. Now for some important backstory. I am bad with social cues, and so is my entire family. I was never raised with the strict rule of making eye contact with people. In fact, in my household, it was often the opposite. I was usually too scared to look somebody in the eye. So where did my eyes land? Their chest. Cue to me realizing my up, and I explain and apologize profusely. We laugh and joke about, but I'm pretty sure they think that I was just making an excuse to stare at their tits. Later at home, in my comfortable bed, while trying to fall asleep, I'd cringe about every time a woman must have thought I was staring at their tits, when in reality, I was just too scared to look them in the face. My teachers, my crushes, my friends all thought I was staring at their tits. I will never recover from this. My next step is working on maintaining eye contact with people. TLDR, I found out why eye contact is important, and then I stare at people's tits when they talk. I have a friend who can't make eye contact. It makes her twitch. She says she always locks onto the forehead, but I never really notice, even when I'm trying to. TIFU, I'm making a random dude forever insecure. So here goes. Today I fully f***ed up upon walking into the dude's bathroom to take a piss. Started all well and good. Walked to the correct public bathroom door in the library and checked to make sure it had the lad's sign, which turns out it did. Upon entering the bathroom without my glasses on, I saw a person staring back at me with long hair, feminine facial features, and just not appearing to indeed be a dude. My socially awkward self had to clear up that I so of course I said, sorry, I didn't realize this was the female's bathroom. Upon exiting, I checked the door and indeed it did have the men's logo on it, so as I do, I began to giggle thinking some dumb gal had up. I decided to hide around the corner and wait cause I really had to piss, and when she left the bathroom I went in. Upon re-entering and seeing the layout of the bathroom, the situation replayed in my head. Turns out when we made eye contact, they were standing, pissing at the urinal. TLDR. So long story short, TIFU by saying sorry I didn't realize this was the female's bathroom, whilst dead-ass staring into a dude's eyes whilst he was pissing. Love that for me. TIFU I sleeping through court and getting my case thrown out. I, 21F, had this friend, 21F, let's call her Laura. She had been my friend in middle school, and then we reconnected again in high school. I introduced her to a couple more of my friends so we could build a group this summer, and we all got along really well, and I hosted bonfires, and we had brunches, and I was really happy with how close we all were. We would have process groups together because we were all mentally ill and going through therapy and trying to get better. This summer, Laura was assaulted and told us after she went IA for a couple of weeks. We were all worried for her and trying our best to be understanding. We all had experiences non-con, so we thought that her acting out of character was something we would have to deal with until she got better. Her whole personality and character changed, but we noticed it the most when she cut her hair. She loved her hair a lot, and it went from being to her lower back to being above her shoulders. She had also become really mean and judgmental. She would talk about how she had it the hardest and invalidate a lot of our experiences. Soon, our process groups would just be her talking, and we were all scared of her because she was brutal to those on her shit list. Laura was slowly becoming more and more unhinged. She would make racist jokes, say really insensitive things about weight, and invalidate everyone else who has been assaulted because she doesn't think the guys who did that are like that. Laura also bullied me the most. She would mention my trauma the most around our friends, and I started picking up signs that there was a conversation she had about me without me there. She also stopped being respectful to me in general. I noticed her doing all these little things that would end up hurting me. She would always bring up my rape trauma. I've told her before how triggering it is to hear the guy's name, and she would toss his name around casually. I never say the name of the guy who hurt her. One night I went over to hers, and wasn't feeling well. I kept throwing up. She gave me what she said was Tylenol and Tums. 5 minutes later, the room was spinning, and I asked her if I was high. She said I couldn't get high off of Tylenol and laughed at me. I told her I needed to lie down and I might pass out, so she said I could sleep over, and I did. I woke up to an angry text saying I needed to respect her house, and I left a big mess of her while I decided to go to sleep. I apologized because I didn't know how else to react. She came over to mine after I tried giving excuses why she couldn't hang out, and she invited herself over to my family's bonfire, and she told my mom about how she gave me her sleeping medication and laughed about how I was such a lightweight. My mom told me that I needed to stop hanging out with her while she liked this. My mom had met her before she started becoming this whole other person, and she agreed this wasn't the girl she knew before. My gut was telling me something was wrong, and I've been feeling like she didn't appreciate me as a friend. I decided to try setting a boundary and seeing how she reacted. I thought her response would show if she's really a friend. I texted her, "Hey, I noticed you've been leaving your wrappers in my car. Do you think you could take them with you next time?" She said no and started listing grievances from middle school that didn't even include her, things from high school we talked about already, claimed I was never assaulted, and told me to stay away from her because I put her in danger. Yeah, I blocked her on everything. She started a smear campaign against me. She posted about me on her socials and started to tell our mutual friends lies about me, but my true friends talked to me. I didn't want to give her a bigger audience, so I pretended as nothing happened, and I wanted to upset her with no reaction. She also started to be really paranoid and started attacking a lot of other people online and putting them on blast on her socials too, so I'm guessing not many people believe what she's saying about me. A month after I blocked her on everything, she sent me 2 voicemails. Once she rambled on for 4 minutes about me and my family with guns. I went to the police and filed a report. The next day she left 2 more describing how she would break into my house. I started my restraining order. I showed the judge the voicemails, and all I had to do was show up on the court date. Over the course of all this happening, I had been losing sleep and juggling classes. The night before I had to show up to court, I f***ed up and decided to finally do all the work I procrastinated. I printed out all the screenshots of her talking about me, transcribed the voicemails, the similarities between the voicemails and her posts, and a little speech I would give the judge. I decided to nap 4 hours before the court meeting, and I f***ed up. I woke up 30 minutes after it was supposed to happen. I don't want to say too much, but it's all thrown out. I can't use the screenshots of a voicemail. I have to wait until she threatens me with evidence as clear as that. It was her voice. She said the same things she posted online. She said things about me only she would know. I feel like all the stress I've been through was for nothing. Nothing is keeping her from coming over. TLDR, psycho ex-friend wants to kill and ruin me. I slept through the stalking no contact restraining order court meeting and lost the case. I have to wait for her to threaten me again. Edit. I added the story about her drugging me, and there are honestly a lot more stories I could add. Her stealing from me and gaslighting me, her telling me that I'm not good to drive while I'm sober, and essentially verbally harassing me while I was driving until my friend drove, her forcing me to pick her up and cancel my plans because she needs a ride, going to Lala with her, and she demanded I pay her $25 for guiding me on the train. Trying to start a business with me and getting pissed, I said no. Trying to move in together, and she gets pissed, I said no, etc. I have a lot of grievances against her in this friendship, and I'm angry I was such a pushover. TIFU, I getting too drunk at the office party after I got promoted to acting manager. At 27 years old. Yesterday, I got promoted to acting manager since our boss will be leaving for a year to travel. It seemed like my colleagues, soon-to-be employees, had a good feeling about this. I am, maybe was, very respected in the company and very hardworking, which are 2 of the reasons why I got promoted. The same day, we had an office party with about 100 people where I got pretty drunk. I had blackouts about half of the evening, and at the end of the night, I fell asleep in the bar. Some people got really worried and called for ambulance. Imagine me waking up after half an hour and realizing the ambulance is there to take me away in front of some people from the office. Today, my boss said she needed to speak with me. It has come to her knowledge she was not at the party, that I had been making out with one of the managers at other departments in front of everyone. She told me this is not very professional and would make my reputation bad and also take from the respect that others have for me. I told her I was really ashamed and that I was really drunk, sadly. She hadn't found out how drunk I was, which is good, but it made me really worried that those people who saw me would tell. There are some of my colleagues that are jealous, I'm sure want to take this up for me as I am also helping them with my bad and unprofessional behavior. I don't know what to do and how to deal with this problem. I'm worried with this duck up they will make the promotion go away. And also I can't imagine what the others will be talking about behind my back or my boss. At 27 years old. TLDR. The same day I got promoted to be the new acting manager, I got drunk at the office party, fell asleep at a table to be woken by ambulance paramedics in front of my colleagues. Found out I also made out with another manager in front of everyone, and have been kicking stuff. My boss isn't impressed and is second-guessing her decision to leave me in charge. I don't think your colleagues are jealous of you anymore. TIFU by peeing all over myself at work. This just happened a few hours ago. And it may not be my worst up ever, but I still feel like a grade dumbass because of it. So I worked in a warehouse and was 7 hours into my 8-hour shift when I had to go use the restroom. I thought I could wait till the end of the shift, but I've been holding it for an hour and could feel the floodgates about to burst. I walked to the men's room, went into one of the stalls, and proceeded to relieve myself. It had also been about 2 hours since my last smoke break, so I took my vape out of my pocket and took a small hit. So there I was, my in my left hand as I get my vape with my right. And I thought to myself, man, it would suck if I dropped my vape in the toilet, wouldn't it? Big mistake. Right as I thought that my vape slipped out of my hand and towards the toilet bowl while I was midstream. I panicked and let go of my and bent forward trying to catch it in my left hand. but all I ended up doing was smacking it into the air and getting piss everywhere in the stall. My vape hit the toilet tank and skidded across the floor into the neighboring stall while I surveyed the damage. I had pissed all over the floor, and even worse, a good chunk of the lower portion of my t-shirt and my pants. Frantically, I grabbed handfuls of toilet paper and began trying to soak up the pee from my clothes. Thankfully, I was wearing a black shirt and a dark green pair of cargo pants, so once I had them mostly dry, it wasn't too obvious. What was even luckier was I was the only one in the bathroom at the time. After cleaning myself up as best I could, I washed my hands, picked up my dropped vape, and hucked it in the trash, and did the walk of shame back to my desk. I only passed maybe 2 or 3 people on my way back, and I don't think they noticed. When I got back to my desk, I threw on my hoodie, and it was just long enough to cover the wet spots on my pants till the shift ended. TLDR. Tried to hit my vape while I was peeing, dropped it, and pissed all over myself at work. TIFU as sleepwalking at a party. For a little backstory, I, 20, am a sleepwalker and tend to sleepwalk very often, especially after a little alcohol. I was at a mutual friend's party this weekend and was spending the night there. I went to sleep a little tipsy until the next morning when I woke up in a completely different room than in shorts. I was so confused and already a little mortified. Unfortunately, it was a whole lot worse than just climbing into an empty bed. My friends just told me the entire fiasco today. During the sleepwalking episode, I took off my pants and underwear and climbed into bed with the host's parents. I then whittled around Winnie the Pooh style onto the mom's boyfriend. Despite apologizing and letting them know I was in fact sleepwalking and was not trying to make a move on the boyfriend, I am now forbidden from the house, awake or not, which I cannot really blame them all. TLDR, I slept-walked bare from the belly button down and climbed into bed with an acquaintance's parents. TIFU by breaking my date's arm. A few years ago, but here it is, swiped on a girl on Tinder, didn't match yet. Her profile was memorable because I live in a small town and I didn't recognize her. Fast forward 2 hours and I go to work to clock in. My boss introduces me to the new girl. It's her. Since she either swiped left or she hadn't seen it yet, I didn't want her to think I swiped on her after we met without just talking to her in person. My awkwardness got the best of me and I brought it up, and we both had a laugh. We ended up going on a date, snowboarding, where she broke her arm in 4 places. I guess she'd never been snowboarding before. So I drove her down the mountain 3 hours with a broken arm to the hospital, which apparently her mother works. The x-ray tech thought we were dating and handed me the x-rays, and asked if her mom knew she had nipple piercings. Hell, I didn't even know she had nipple piercings. Cue an awkward moment with mom a few moments later. An 8-inch metal plate and several screws. I felt terrible and I helped her with lots of things over the next few weeks while she was practically disabled. And we ended up dating for a few months. I really actually liked her a lot, but I joined the army and she ghosted me while I was in basic training. But that's another story. TLDR. Saw a girl on Tinder, met her at work, and took her snowboarding, where she broke her arm in 4 places. TIFU by not checking an obvious place. I have had this inconsistent squeaking noise in my room for months, starting in July, and it always happened around 4 to 5 p.m. I checked my aquarium to see if I had any faulty equipment. I checked my ball python cage to see if it was her headlamps. I checked my hedgehog cage to see if it's the wheel. I tear my room apart searching for this damn beeping noise. And it's not like a mechanical beeping noise because it is inconsistent in tone and timing isn't the same. I start to think my siblings have played a prank on me by hiding one of those random beeping/squeaking timers. So I searched my closet too. And whenever I would open my closet, it would stop. So I thought, for sure, that it was just like my closet door, rattling in its frame. And then it would start beeping again. So I'd shut the closet, and it would stop again. This goes on for a few weeks and this beeping just does not stop and it's just quiet enough that I can't really tell where it's coming from. The kicker, it starts around 6 a.m. now too, when I wake up from school. And so I've been literally tearing my room apart from top to bottom multiple times. And I asked my mom if she heard the beeping noise when she was in my room at one point. She doesn't have great hearing, so I'm not surprised she didn't hear it. And she just gave me this weird look and then took a nap. At this point, I think I'm delusional, that I'm going insane. I've been considering upping my medication and talking to my psych about hallucinations. My family has weak mental health. But my appointment is in a month, and so I decided to wait it out. So I'm ignoring it, right? but I still hear it every day. And then one day, I'm lying on my bed chilling and watching YouTube, and I realize the beeping noise is right there in my lap. I think it's my stomach, so I just sit and listen. I move my hedgehog off my lap and wait. Then I realized the beeping stopped. I wait 5 minutes and it starts again, so I gently poke my hedgehog, who is in a cuddle sack, and the beeping stops. My hedgehog snores. I got him in July. I'm an idiot. TLDR. Thought I was going crazy because I've heard beeping for months. Tore apart my room and questioned my sanity. It was my hedgehog Marvin snoring. TIFU getting distracted by pretty girls at a red light. I was a year or two into having my license. While working my part-time job at Subway, I was asked to do a bank run to make a cash deposit. I hopped in my car and shortly after stop at a red light. Hearing a honk from the left turning lane beside me, I glance over to see a couple of pretty girls from school. We exchange banter for 10 seconds or so before they receive a green arrow signal to turn. I was so fixated on the interaction that I presumed I too had been given a green light. As we smile and wave goodbye, I proceeded to rear-end a car in front of me. Very embarrassing moment, and later found out they laughed the entire way home. To make matters worse, the woman I rear-ended had just started her vacation, which made me feel pretty crummy ruining her day. TLDR. Assumed I got a green light in the turning lane and rear-ended a car in front of pretty girls from school. Alright folks, we've laughed, cringed, and survived the today of up stories. If you enjoyed these tales of chaos, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the notification bell to stay in the loop. Share your favorite facepalm moments in the comments. Let's keep the laughter going. Until next time, stay awesome, stay real, and remember, we're all in this together. Catch you on the next. Peace out.